Welcome to Pitch Day. This is Circuit Stream's Pitch Day event. We do these at the end of every single boot camp. Today we are celebrating cohorts from our Game Development Bootcamp who started back in September of 2024. My name is Maddie. I'm the Partnership Development Manager at Circuit Stream. My role is to build relationships with industry partners. Ultimately, my goal is to get job seekers in our career program closer to jobs, to help build their professional networks and ideally help them get hired. I've brought in several esteemed guests today from different gaming companies across the country. And today is ultimately about networking, connecting, chatting about the industry, and giving our talented bootcamp grads a little bit of advice on their capstone projects. A few things before we begin today. The session is recorded, just so everybody knows. The event will be approximately 2 hours. Only our presenters and partners can go up on stage to speak, but everyone in attendance today is welcome to use the chat function. So feel free to ask questions, give comments, encouragement, anything else you'd like. Our capstone presenters are really excited to chat with you all. The other thing I'd like to mention is throughout pitches, we will be adding some embedded YouTube videos or playing some embedded YouTube videos. They will be played at full volume on our end, but please be prepared to adjust your own computer volume because they might vary a little bit. And lastly, a reminder to our guest speakers and fellow students, please make use of the moderator chat for internal communications, and then we have the general chat for all other communications. So really quick order of events. Obviously, I'm kicking off the event now. After I'm done, I will be calling up the guest speakers to give a brief introduction and a short Q&A. Then we will introduce the capstone project, a little bit about Circuit Stream, and jump into pitches. After each individual pitch, there will be about 7 minutes of Q&A with the guest speakers. Once all the pitches are done, we will have a quick wrap up, and then we will be done. Next slide. So a little bit about Circuit Stream before we get started. We began back in 2015 through a network of developers and creators, and we are now a leading provider of technology education in game development, game design, product management, and software development. We partner with industry-leading companies and provide courses and training to those looking to learn more about emerging technologies or to pivot into a technological career. Since our start in 2015, we've educated over 50,000 learners globally, and we're constantly updating our curriculum to stay ahead of the curve. Next slide. We also partner with top universities in North America to provide our education for both teen and adult learners. In fact, we're the only Canadian tech education company currently partnered with these universities to provide these types of boot camps and courses. Next slide. So I'll touch on our talent network a little bit before getting our first guest speaker up here. Next slide. So Circuit Stream, we are committed to supporting our alumni with their careers and professional development, and we take responsibility in connecting learners with industry partners to grow their professional networks. Each of our bootcamp graduates who are presenting their capstone projects today are in our career program. The career program is an optional add-on that runs in parallel with the technical coursework here at Circuit Stream, and it helps prepare our bootcamp graduates to confidently move forward in their job searches and to grow their networks. After students are done with their boot camps in the career program, they still receive career support for 180 days after graduation. Next slide. So for everyone in attendance today, we're always looking to expand our network of partners and employer professionals, industry professionals, event partners, and all kinds of different things. So we like to invite our partners to to events, to talent opportunities, a bunch of things like that. If you're interested in joining our talent network, please reach out to me. My email is on the screen, and I'll put it in the chat towards the end of the event. Next slide. Okay, so I would like to now invite all of our guest speakers to join us on stage. If you could, please come up on stage. I will call on each of you to give a quick introduction. When I call you, Please tell everyone about yourself, where you work, what you do, and a little bit about your career, what got you here, and anything else career focused that you would like to share with students. So, first up, I would like to call on Anthony. Anthony, please go ahead.
Happy Thursday. Hope you're having a great day. Thanks for having me, Maddie, and Karin. Yeah, so I'm Anthony. I've been in the industry for, I guess, coming up on 10 years now. I started after graduating university from creative writing, which is sort of not the usual entryway into the games industry. But I got my foot in the door doing some social media and community relations type stuff for a game studio. And in doing that, I started to understand games as a production, learning from producers, learning from leads, learning from the CEO, the business side, all of that kind of thing. And making relationships with various people in the team, to which point they offered me a QA position. I took the QA position, and that transitioned into a design position. And then I've been a designer ever since then, doing technical design, narrative design, interaction design, leading design teams. Most recently, with my team at Green Sky, doing a game called Chrono Strike. And before that, if you're in the VR industry, you might know Pistol Whip, which I worked on as well, as one of the main designers on that game. And yeah, so I've got a bit of an unusual path to this whole thing, but really it was about getting into the space. You know, obviously the foot in the door is a really important part, but I think being open to games as a production, understanding how games are actually made, and then you can kind of find where you fit within that pipeline. That's where I found success anyway.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Anthony. Thank you for being here today. Anthony has joined us to, I believe, 2 other pitch day events. So we are lucky to have you. Thanks for joining us. Next up, let's go to John. John, welcome.
Hello. Hi, I'm John. John Pyle. Should probably preface if you want to chat with me later, just reach out on LinkedIn. I'm around. I'm originally from Fairbanks, Alaska. Started my game dev career about 20 years ago at Proper Games in Dundee, Scotland. That's kind of, I was at grad school there, and that's how I broke into the industry after trying for a while. I worked at Microsoft on the HoloLens. I taught game development at Champlain College. I'm currently a principal engineering manager at Shell Games. As far as sort of products, in December we shipped Partyverses, our big mixed reality multiplayer party game for Quest. I was the technical director on that. Currently, I'm helping out with Among Us VR, the 3D cross-play version of Among Us. In the last decade or so, I've been mostly focused on Unity and XR. That's kind of where it's fun. I like being there. But I've done all the other stuff before that, C++ and write your own engine and all that back in the day. Yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Thanks, John. You bring a ton of knowledge to us today, so we're very lucky to have you. Karin, you can go to the next slide and the next one. Let's go ahead with Johanna. Please go ahead.
Hello, everyone. So I'm Johanna. I've been making games for about 10 years. I started by just studying programming, and I really wanted to do games. So I started making my own stuff, making my portfolio, and eventually I got my first job in mobile hyper casual games in Lebanon back about 10 years ago, give or take. And from that, I kept doing more games, more mobile games, and improving my portfolio. I got a better job, another job, and here we are. 2 years ago, I moved to Saudi to train a bunch of. It's a program like this one. It launched the game industry in Saudi, which initiated a few studios there. One of them just released a game. Very proud of these guys. Hopefully, you guys follow up on that. And about 3 years ago, two to 3 years ago, I started VR with Green Sky as well, with Anthony. We made Anomaly. From Anomaly, it was a multiplayer extraction VR game. And right now, I'm at Squido, where we make more guerrilla tag style games where it's a more of a environment you can socialize and play a game compared to the hardcore game focused only, also in VR. And that's pretty much a resume of what I've done.
Awesome. Thank you so much. A very big background in gaming, and it's great to have your perspective. So thank you. Next up, Javid, why don't you go ahead?
Sure. Nice to meet you, everyone. I'm Javid. I've been in the industry for about 12 years, I guess, right now. And almost all of it were with Dead Mage Game Studio. I was there from Garshos. They created Garshos, and then we moved on to a mobile game, which was Shadowblade, and it was a big hit on iOS. And then we made Children of Malta, which was a good game. I think we were received. And now we are finishing up on Wizard of Legend 2. So I'm basically done programming and mostly design. But I started from programming and then I moved to design, and I just do computer games. Gameplay programming mostly personally, and technical design. So that's it. So I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you to all of our guest speakers. We have Raphael in attendance. Raphael, if you're here, go ahead and jump up on stage. Otherwise, we can go ahead and get started. So next slide, please. All right, so I will now pass to Karin. Karin is going to introduce the Game Development Bootcamp, the capstone project. So I will hop off stage, and guest speakers, you guys can also go off stage, and then we will move along. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Karin. I'm the lead career coach here at CircuitStream. And I'm going, like Maddie said, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Game Development Bootcamp, and we are going to move forward with the pitches. So anyone else who's on stage, you may go off stage and we'll move on here. All right, so the Game Development Bootcamp is an intensive 30-week live online bootcamp that prepares graduates for a successful career in Unity 3D development. All of our students here have completed their bootcamp as well as the career program. So the capstone project that all of our students have completed is, they were asked to complete a minimum viable product with a project of their choice, and they were given 4 weeks to go from coming up with an idea to creating their game. So there were 7 requirements, which were the platform, aesthetics, mechanics and components, personas, activity loops, resources, and metrics and goals. All right, so today we have 9 graduates who will be doing solo presentations, so a total of 9 presentations. We'll be starting with Jake Bunting with Undead Defense. Good luck to all graduates, and Jake, you can come to the stage.
Awesome. Are you guys able to hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here. Today, I'm excited to introduce to you Undead Defense, a 3D-based defense game built in Unity. Next slide. Before we dive into the game, I'd like to quickly introduce myself. My name is Jake. I'm from Vancouver. I have a bachelor's degree in computer science, and I'm looking to build a career in game development. Next slide. I've always been passionate about games and creating the systems behind them. Games like Tarkov and Stalker really inspired my journey into game development. After playing these games, I found myself recreating basic versions of the game mechanics, such as the body part damage system in Tarkov and Stalker's skill leveling system. Before starting this bootcamp, I worked as a software engineer for 2 years, where I gained valuable skills working in an agile development environment. In addition to working with Unity, I've experienced creating games in Unreal Engine and building my own from scratch with C++. These experiences have given me a solid technical base that I've been able to bring into my game development process. Next slide, please. My goal with Undead Defense is to highlight my technical skills and ultimately find employment as a game developer. Next slide. Undead Defense is a 3D-based defense game where the goal is to survive increasingly difficult waves of zombies. Players can build barricades and turrets to hold the line as they manage limited resources. The inspiration for this game came from my love for hardcore survival games such as Tarkov and DayZ, combined with a game loop inspired by Plants vs. Zombies that fit the scope and timeline of the project. Next slide. Here's a quick gameplay demo. So the core systems that make up this game include the AI controller that uses Unity's nav agent to find the most efficient path to the player, destructible objects that impact the AI decision-making, a building system that allows the player to fortify their base and edit placed items, a wave spawning system, and a save system for persistent progress. Next slide. My goal when creating the AI was to create an AI that could destroy barriers and take the quickest route to the player. To achieve this, I attached navigation mesh modifiers to the barrier game objects. This allowed me to increase the cost to navigate over the areas where barricades were placed. Barriers with higher durability corresponded to a higher navigation cost. Once the AI destroys the barrier, an event is triggered that recalculates the navigation service. Next slide. When creating the wave system, I ran into a problem. Randomly generated waves didn't have a consistent difficulty. My solution was to associate each enemy type with a cost and give each wave a number of points to spend on the makeup of enemies. By increasing the number of points each wave, the difficulty would grow at a consistent rate. Additionally, with this system, we can alter the difficulty progression by changing the function that calculates the number of points each wave has to spend. Next slide. When creating the save system, my goal was to make it reusable and extendable. I achieved this by using an interface to abstract the save and load logic. This means that the save system does not need to know how to save each different type of object. It only knows they exist and implement the save and load functions. Additionally, I abstracted the file handler to allow the system to use other save methods in the future, such as saving to the cloud or encrypting save data without having to modify the core save system. Next slide, please. Undead Defense is by no means a complete game. What I have so far is a prototype for a much larger game I plan to continue to develop and hopefully release in the future. Some features that I want to add are item crafting, electricity management, where some base items would consume energy, more enemy types, and more base defense items. After adding these features, I plan to release the game for free on Steam. Next slide. Thank you all so much for your time and attention. Please take a moment to scan the QR code and connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm always excited to talk more about game development or employment opportunities. Thanks again.
All right. Great job, Jake. It's not always easy going first, so good work there. And I'll now call to the stage all guest speakers, and you can provide some feedback to and ask some questions to Jake.
Nice job, Jake.
Thank you.
I'll jump in with the first question. The placement system. I noticed, it looks like you could choose items to place. Did you do anything for like snapping or like is there anything to block you? Like, can things overlap? How did you kind of solve that issue?
Yeah, for sure. So the placement system works by I project I do a ray cast, and if it hits, I have a layer that is a placeable layer. You can place on that. If the placement prefab interacts with anything else that has been placed, then you won't be able to place on that. So I'm not using a grid system, but I do have like a layer that you can only place upon that layer.
And by interact, is this basically you have like a collision box you're intersecting?
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
Cool. I have lots more questions, but I'll let other people go as
well. Really liked your presentation, Jake. What you were saying about taking what you liked about Tarkov and then scoping it down for this to be the level of Plants vs Zombies. I think that's really, really smart. You get kind of that core, hook of your type of, action gameplay, and then obviously something feasible within the timeline of the project. So great job there. I was really interested in knowing if you found any like emergent behaviors with the AI system. I noticed as the AI piled up against blockades, that I was curious, like what was kind of intuitively happening with those characters. Obviously, you're using Unity's AI system, but I'm curious if you had any ideas of like, oh, I would want to tweak this if I was to work on this project further and make the AI do this thing in this scenario.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess the reason that they start piling up was because I had placed a weaker barricade there, and so I designed the AI with by using the navigation mesh modifiers. So basically, once a barrier is placed, it's baked in that this area is a lot cheaper to walk over as an AI compared to, say, a concrete barrier, which would have a higher path cost. So they're smart enough to say, hey, this thing is almost broken. Let me break this. So that is kind of like the easier path for them. And that's why you see some of those behaviors.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I guess if there's any other changes that you wanted to make to the AI, seeing how it kind of played out intuitively as middleware, then that would be my next question. But again, great presentation.
Thank you.
On the note of AI, since we're talking about that, I'm gonna jump in and ask you: Are you using state machine, behavior tree? What kind of logic are they trying to follow? Because first, just for context, I mainly make game systems and gameplay features. I also do some AI for depending on what we need, especially when I'm doing R&D. So I would be interested in seeing what's the decision-making process that the AI took in order to achieve that barrier compiling rate. Because you could also, in that scenario, just decide that, oh, well, this is cheaper, but also the decision says that there's too many guys there. So I will try to go somewhere else where there's less guys, or like wait my turn, or it depends if I shoot or melee, like there's these parameters that you could add on top of the cost of the road that makes the game more natural in that sense. So if you could.
Yeah, for sure. So I went with a state machine pattern. So basically the AI have the kind of the end goal, which is the base, as a target. So they'll always path towards that objective. And if they reach a barrier in front of them, they have a spear cast that will kind of change the state from walking to attacking. And I think it would be probably better to use a behavior tree if I wanted to add more complex behaviors to add, say, like you were saying, where they say, hey, there's so many zombies here, why don't I try a different route or attack this turret?
Yeah, so that is the first, and because your game is mainly building and then waiting and watching, you want the watching to be as fun as possible.
Yeah.
So giving the AI extra decision making and logical, more logical or at least more interesting ways of interacting with the thing. Maybe the closest one would blow up. A behavior tree would make your life a bit easier when you scale up, and it would make it so you can make all your AI do the same. You just take a piece of the tree, put it there, and do that same behavior. So consider that for the next, especially because you're releasing. Consider that as your main like update to the AI, along with the other systems. I have a lot of system questions, but I'm gonna let other people talk first. Maybe I will see at the end.
For sure.
So,
All right.
okay. Is the time over?
I have a question in the chat here from Raphael. Jake, do you plan on adding a progression system for the game in order to keep the player engaged?
Yeah, so I haven't thought too much about that yet, but that would be something that I feel would really create an engaging game for a next release. Something to add on, yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Thank you, Jake. Javid, did you have a question?
Well, yeah. I know it was much more on the technical side, but I was wondering, what do you think makes this game unique?
Yeah, so I mean, it's not super unique. It's more of a way to show my technical skills. But I haven't really seen a Plant vs. Zombies like hardcore version, so maybe that's a bit more unique. The games that I love are games like Tarkov, where there's really, like, if you die, you lose everything, and it gets your heart pumping, kind of. So I would like to add that kind of aspect to a game like Plants vs. Zombies, which is what I was trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, it was a strong thing on the technical side, I said, but I mean, design-wise, it might need some work.
No, for sure.
All right. Well, unfortunately, our time is up for questions. So thank you so much for your participation. Thank you, Jake. You did a great job. And you can all leave the stage now, and I'm going to call up Josh. Hi, Josh.
Hi.
Whenever you're ready.
Oh, okay. All right. My name's Josh Kane, and welcome to my project, Final Flare. Next slide, please. Just a few quick things about me before we get started. I've always loved video games. I've been playing them for as long as I can remember, and it is such a joy and honor to be able to bring something that I've dreamt about for ages and be able to show it to you all today. A small thing about me is that I'm very critical of my own work. Which is very good for an industry that everyone else is very critical of, and everyone kind of holds themselves to a very high standard. So I always try to do that with all my work. A couple goals for this project. Employment would be amazing, but also connections within the industry is just as good in my eyes. Next slide, please. But enough about me. Let's talk about my game, my project. What is Final Flare? Well, it is an intro level to a much larger game. An MMORPG is my end goal, but that's a long way away. But let's start at the beginning. In a world where our sun dies, we're left without heat and without light. The character has to escape the town and get to a safe haven while avoiding the new denizens of the town, which happen to be werewolves in this situation. The goal of the project was to start telling a story, get the player enticed with what's going on in the world, and while getting their feet wet with the gameplay and how the game works, because you can sneak, you can run and gun. There's multiple ways of playing this demo. Next slide, please. Here's a couple of GIFs and images from my game that you got to start as you're walking to the first checkpoint. Then you get a little bit of a cut scene. And then the third image is of the first time meeting some of the enemies. And of course, the last picture is the cabin, the safe haven that you're trying to get to. Next slide. And here we have a demo video.
Wow, where is everyone? Feels so quiet today. Dang it. Is this thing on? I don't know if the sound is working. I don't know if you can hear me.
Okay, a couple of challenges and takeaways that I've encountered. We'll start with the challenges. The sneak mechanics and AI, I'm going to kind of roll into one because they're both linked very well. I wanted the enemies to be more fluid and more dynamic and hopefully feel more realistic. So instead of going a linear point of view of them going from point A to point B to point C, I went with a random location on the map. But in doing so, it made the sneak mechanics very difficult to fully fine tune and even test, as you're not too sure what the enemy is going to do while testing. Another challenge that I ran into was lighting. Trying to add light to a game that's not meant to have lighting was incredibly difficult. I had to restart it multiple times, trying to get it just right. There's a few things I'm still not quite happy with, so we might have to see where that goes in the future. A couple of takeaways. My coding skill level has improved drastically from the start of this because reading it, writing it, learning it in class is one thing, but given a deadline and you have to learn how to do something very quickly, you learn very quickly, and it's amazing to see how quickly and how well you can push when you're trying to learn something quickly. Another takeaway I came across was level design. As gamers, we all think that we can do better than everyone else, but given the opportunity, you find that it's actually very difficult to plan a level and to kind of design it. It took multiple attempts, but I'm very happy that my skill level in that has increased drastically because of it. Next slide, please. A couple goals for this project as a one of them is to, of course, publish this project as a demo to get it into your hands, to get some feedback from it from everyone, and to hopefully get people interested in this game that I'm planning to make. And as a future goal, I plan to slowly start making Final Fantasy the massive growing world that I have dreamt about for ages. I have actually started it, but of course, one-man crew building this takes a while. A couple of future goals, just want to reiterate from the beginning is employment. I'd love to be able to bring this project to maybe some potential employers, work on it, maybe get this done a little bit quicker. Also connections. I'd love to be able to sit down with a lot of you with one-on-ones and just kind of get feedback, get some directionals with this. Next slide, please. But of course, please stay connected. You've got my email address there. I do plan to be working on this a lot, so I'd love to be able to hear from you guys. You've got my LinkedIn up in the corner. You've got my website there as well. But that is my project. Thank you for listening.
All right, great job, Josh. Now I'm going to call to the stage all guest speakers, and we'll have 7 minutes for Q&A and feedback for Josh. Feel free to dive in if you have a question.
I'll jump in. Being the fact that I've spent a lot of time in the last couple of years in the networking side of things, I'll obviously start off saying your goal was an MMO RPG. Yeah, can you talk a little bit about how you even think about approaching that as far as the networking side, if it's even something you consider, or if you just focused on the single player?
For now, I've just focused on getting this this demo playable and to get it to a point that I'm happy with. I haven't tried to think about the networking side of it too much because it's still a very daunting task to try to build an MMORPG as just one person. So I kind of been trying to take it in small bite parts so I don't get too overwhelmed with it.
Yeah, that's definitely wise. Although I would say that if you ever plan to go the multiplayer route, you start with the multiplayer because it's a whole lot harder to add in afterwards. But just yeah.
Okay.
You're muted, Johanna.
Right. Thank you. Sorry. So I'll have to agree with John on this one. Multiplayer is its own thing that can't be added on top of games. Games have to be built on top of multiplayer because of the logic that follows. And we've experienced two projects in Green Sky Games. One started in multiplayer, one single player, and went back to multiplayer. The other went multiplayer all along, and eventually we had to catch up to multiplayer, and it was very, very hard to make it work the way we want to, at least. Now I understand that maybe your skill set doesn't really hit the whole, oh well, I'm gonna make an MMO, every dream of every developer that ever started making games. And then you realize that, oh wait, it's MMO. Yeah, it's not it's not like a normal thing. So maybe you want to, your bite-sized pieces could be a small single player game that is the intro to that game, and then another whole different project that is not based on the previous project but based on the idea of the previous project as your multiplayer game. This way you won't have to deal with these problems of, oh, I have to put multiplayer on top, and oh, I didn't think how to go with that part. So consider that from a development perspective. From a lighting perspective, consider baking light if it's too many polygons or stuff like that, because I noticed the challenge. I don't know where it failed there specifically. So consider baking light, consider lowering polygons, consider all these normal, the optimization route. And for AI, I am gonna reiterate on the behavior tree, as it's one of the simplest but most effective ways of making the AI in smaller, easier, game setups. Make it simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. It just has to deliver the message of your game, right? Because your demo, at the end of the day, just represents your bigger scope game that you'll probably rewrite about 1 billion times, like we all did. So don't worry about it. Just consider that. Keep that in mind, and don't stress too much over the smaller things. Just get the idea out there. Maybe you'll get enough traction that you can have your own network guy that's doing the networking, and it's not your problem anymore. But either way, keep that in mind, and thank you.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, but I basically have nothing to add because Johanna and John already did make very good things, the ones that I already wrote down actually. So it was great, but yeah, Johanna made a big point. Just let something happen that catches the eye of the. I mean, represents what it is in your mind first. That was great.
Okay.
I'll sort of add on to all that too, is to say it's easy to overscope and then kind of realize that there's interesting problems here. And I think for sort of everyone, as you start thinking about what are the interesting problems to solve, as you think about this is an opportunity for me to maybe get a job and talk to people, you can go deep in that one interesting problem to solve. If there's one piece that you're like, this is a weird stuff, you can let all the other stuff fall and say, all I focused on was this, and it gives you something to talk about, in the interview, in your, as you talk about engineering challenges, the thing you really, you just double down on that, because no one expects anybody, the single person, to be able to make everything, and or be it's great to be a generalist and know a little bit of everything, but just on the lighting, you could just go deep on the lighting and solve that and be hireable, or just on some piece of the AI interaction, or just go for the challenge of getting multiple people in playing the game, in a network sense. Each of those is enough to take an hour-long interview and just talk about.
Okay. All right.
All right, we have time for one more question. Oh, we have some feedback in the chat. The bigger the project is, more problems from a development and design perspective will come. In order to overcome that, you could consider making a small project first in order to build up your skills as a game developer in general.
Okay, that's definitely something that I'm going to definitely look into with all this feedback. It's good to have some insight of direction where to go. So yes, I will be doing that.
Awesome. Well, we are out of time now. So thank you so much, Josh. And thank you, guest speakers, for your awesome feedback and your questions. So let's move on to Daniel with Lockdown. Welcome, Daniel.
Hi, everyone.
Oh, we can't see you yet.
Oh, you can't. Let me turn it back on. Is it working now?
No, we see your background.
There
There
we go.
you are.
Sorry about that. All right. So, hi, everyone. I'm Daniel, a game developer, narrative, and level designer. And through this pitch, I want to connect with industry professionals for opportunities in employment, mentorship, and collaboration. I'm quite passionate about growing my skills and contributing creatively to a team that values meaningful game experiences. Next slide, please. I'm all about creating interactive, age-inclusive games that bring people together through play, nostalgia, and heartfelt stories. I have a bachelor's in digital media game arts, where I developed several interactive projects, one of which was recently showcased at Interaccess, a visual art gallery in Toronto. I also earned a Unity certification from Circuit Stream, which helped sharpen my game development skills. My strengths mainly lie in blending game art, narrative design, interactive gameplay, and prototyping to create engaging and emotional experiences that foster inclusivity. Next slide, please. A little bit about Lockdown. So Lockdown is a first-person perspective survival simulator where players step into the shoes of a university student navigating the challenges of life during the COVID-19 lockdowns. It's set within a single environment, the student's room. The core gameplay revolves around maintaining a balance in the character's mental and physical health. Players do so by completing various tasks, including attending online classes, completing assignments, and eating food, and even taking naps. The game's immersive first-person view really aims to evoke the feeling of isolation and monotony many experience during this period. Lockdown really captures the real experiences of many students that faced isolation, time management, and health challenges while stuck indoors. And the first-person view makes that experience feel personal and relatable. This approach creates an emotional connection, reflecting the shared memories of a really difficult time. Indie simulator games have also seen a significant rise in popularity over the past year, which was driven by demand for immersive and relatable experiences. Games like A Game About Digging a Hole inspired the meditative pacing and the quiet existential tone, while Streamer Life Simulator influenced the structure of managing digital routines and the survival mechanics within a confined space. Next slide, please. Here's a short demo trailer for Lockdown. Next slide, please. So a bit about the brief timeline for the project. I had a total of 3 phases. Phase 1, which was concept and prototyping, took about a week to 2 weeks, where I established the game's core concept and mechanics of sanity and hunger, and developed the basic first-person prototype to test the key interactions. Phase 2 was alpha development, which was around 3 weeks, where I built out the full environment, refined the first-person controls, and implemented a functional game loop, which was centered around the task-based survival. Phase 3 was finalizing the demo and polishing, which took about 2 weeks as well. where I balanced the mechanics, enhanced visuals, and the feedback loop, and delivered a polished demo ready for presentation. And I focused on creating an immersive experience where players could step into a student's daily routine. I designed a lived-in environment and implemented intuitive mechanics. I also created a task management system that lets the players juggle activities while managing their hunger and sanity. Next slide, please. So one of the main challenges was ensuring the first-person perspective was immersive and comfortable enough, especially given the repetitive nature of the tasks. For that, I integrated visual cues, light camera animation, and time of day changes to really enhance the feeling of immersion. I tried to balance realism with stylization to keep the gameplay engaging without really overwhelming the players with tasks. By focusing on core tasks and centering the experience around managing their sanity and hunger, I gave players a clear goal and made everyday actions feel purposeful and rewarding. My key takeaway from the project was strengthening my immersive game development and design skills by combining the first-person mechanics, emotional narrative design, cohesive level development, and that really helped to enhance the player engagement and experience. Next slide, please. So what's happening with the project? Right now, the goal is to expand the gameplay a bit. I'm planning to add features like playing video games, exercising, and virtual interactions with other students. I also want to explore the survival aspect across different scenarios and introduce player choices that would affect the day's progression and even the character's mental state, which would in turn add more depth and replayability. Next slide, please. So to reiterate, I'm actively pursuing opportunities at game studios where I can contribute my skills as a game developer, narrative, and level designer. I'm also looking for mentorship from professionals to support my growth in the industry. Additionally, I also welcome feedback on my project, and I'm committed to developing my skills to stay aligned with the evolving industry trends. So here's my contact information. I love to connect. You can scan the QR code on screen to reach out on LinkedIn or directly by email. I'm also always open to conversations around opportunities, feedback, and collaboration. Looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you for listening.
All right, good job, Daniel. Now I'm going to call to the stage all guest speakers for another round of Q&A.
Well, great job, actually. And I'm going to be honest, as much as I can relate with that game and enjoy it, I wouldn't want to go through that time again. I don't. But it is a very good thing. I was going to ask you one question. How do you handle cycles with like the time you mentioned and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Does it happen all the time or real time?
So I use a third-party asset mainly for the time of day changes and kind of learned the logic and the coding behind it. So that really, I really use that to create like cycles for the entire day. So you have a set number of tasks that you must complete each day. And once you're done with that, and it's like nighttime and the day progresses to the second day, the third day. So you're sort of like building up your tasks in a way. And there's also the other aspect of where the time is just kind of blurred and like you don't have a set, like a specific time to do a certain task, right? So you could go from one thing to another and just kind of jump between things to kind of keep your health levels up. Yeah.
Okay.
So from a game perspective, like game design perspective, I am not qualified to help out, but from a system design perspective, so the game, as I understand it, is a resource management game, right? You have a bunch of resources, which is your health or mental state or whatever, and then you have to do tasks in order to manage these states. Usually these games go in two ways. You either get more complicated tasks to manage the same thing, or you get more things to manage as the game progresses, right? As that's how difficulty curves usually go, at least as far as I've experienced.
Right.
So the question here would be, are your systems built to contain flexible states and flexible changes based on something, or is it just like I mean, this is a prototype, obviously, so maybe you just had like a health thing, and then a brain thing, mental state thing, and then that's it.
Mhm.
If so, I would my main feedback would be to focus on making this like a global system, because the whole game is going to be just this in different ways, and then making your interactions a bit more meaningful,
Mhm.
in the sense that, oh well, I'm doing this, like the video game thing is very cool. You can just make a like a small Game Boy with very small games, mini games inside the
Mhm.
game that could boost your health, and so you would need also a system that covers these things. So that's why I'm asking, from a systems perspective, are you doing that setup for systems that will later on become your game, or are you just making them as you go, like a small thing here and there, because it's going to get messy?
So yeah, great question. I tried really implementing a modular system for just the tasks in general. So I believe it will be quite simple to kind of add a new aspect to the game. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought this was a super interesting premise, framing it as a survival game. Your references were really interesting. I think that framing is like really important too. Like I would consider calling this like a student survival simulator. The other part that I think is worth thinking about is exactly how you lead into that genre, right? So this is a survival game, and so you've got your bars that you're managing, which makes a lot of sense. But you're also calling it a simulator, right? So you want to make sure that you have these kind of realistic, true to life interactions that make a lot of sense, which you start bleeding into with this kind of student angle, going to the computer and having meetings and lessons and all that. I was recently playing Blueprints, and in the game Blueprints, there is literally like school. You can go to school, you learn about vocabulary, you learn about geography. It's all like the game world stuff. There's something like really interesting there and kind of sticky there that's interesting and
Yeah.
really unique as well. And I'd love to see you like explore further into that. And then in terms of a question, I think I'm curious your tone here. The trailer was pretty calm and relaxed. It wasn't necessarily trying to go for something funny. I think the premise is maybe inherently a little bit funny, or at least a little bit bittersweet. We had the previous comment that was like, oh, I don't necessarily want to go back to this environment. So I'm curious what your approach was to the tone, to be like, how do I pull players in and make this really interesting and exciting, or funny, or sweet, or whatever it was you're trying to go for?
So my main aim was to kind of target that level of relatability, and also for people to sort of experience a different perspective of a shared time, right? And coming from personal experience, I did want to sort of have that, I wouldn't say comedic, but like sort of a funny tone to it, while also keeping it serious enough where you have to manage your health, and it really sort of matters to the core of the game.
Yeah, it makes sense. And I think I'd just say keep leaning into the student side of it, keep leaning into the simulator side of it. I think the survival part of it is there. You just want to make sure that you kind of really lean into what the game's identity is. So yeah, great job.
Got it. Thank you.
That's all the time we have for questions and feedback. However, Daniel, I see that you have some feedback from Raphael in the chat, so just be sure to take a look at that. And guest speakers, thank you so much for the questions and feedback. You can now go off stage, and I will call Lynx to the stage.
Hello, guys.
Welcome, Lynx.
Hi. Okay, I can start. So, hello. My name is Lynx. I have over 12 years experience in the film and TV industry as a visual effects compositor. Next slide, please. Recently, I've been learning game dev to pursue my passion for building gameplay system that creates emotional impact. With the years of production experience, I'm a strong communicator and a team collaborator, able to iterate quickly and stay aligned with the shared goals. Next slide, please. So Dreamworker, it's a semi-ARPG in 2D pixel art. My inspiration comes not only from the indie game Arco, but also from a card-based system like Magic is the Gathering, where action can interrupt and start. That led me to design a combat system where skills can trigger counter actions. I want each moment in the combat to feel both reactive, creating tension and satisfaction for the players. Next slide, please. So I played Arcor last December, and in the February I decided to make such kind of a prototype. In the March, I was searching for some assets which are suitable for my project. April is a month I start to make the game, and today is a pitch day. Next slide, please. So we can take a look at the demo we can play. Okay, next slide, please. So here's a project overview and some core features. I made a simple player controller and input with WSD movements, and press J for basic attack, and the K is a block button. Keys 1 to 6 trigger the skill slots 1 to 6. Skill system use the scriptable object to design the skill. So each skill supports a cooldown, mana cost, animation, VFX, and every attributes I can change anytime I want. It also supports a skill selection system. I can pick one from 3 options after defeating the enemies or trigger some events. The UI and combat feedback, I have a floating damage number, skill button display, some kind of thing. Next slide, please. I use the enemy manager to register and unregister enemy from the list. Then use that to trigger some battle area transition. Of course, the battle area transition is from different map, grade A to grade B, handled by the progression. I have a block and a counter system. One player have the special effect attack, where give a player the hint, then you can press K to block in the certain time window. If you successfully press K, then the block will immune that kind of attack. Then you press J again, you will do a counter strike to do a huge damage. Still lots of stuff I want to add on, but that's waiting for me to do. Next slide, please. Here's some debugging and designing process when I'm doing the development. Next slide, please. I faced some challenge and takeaways during the making. My available hours, the first day is the time. My available hours are squeezed between a full-time job and a family. That made me to work in a higher efficiency. Game design-wise, the previous version of the game system feel a little bit simple, so I added more skills and the block and counter mechanic to enrich it. Engine familiarity. My Unity skills have gaps that slow me down with some small tasks, especially UI. I follow a target tutorial and checking with my mentor, reviewing or asking the ChatGPT for quick answers. Polishing, in general, from VFX, sound effects, or background music, art, they all need a refinement. I polish details step by step to poach my ideal version. So next step, please. Next slide, please. For the future goals for the game is I'm gonna test more and refine some detail, gathering the information and feedback from my friends. I'm currently searching for employment opportunities, mentorship, and connections in this game industry. For long term, I want to be part of the team or become a solo developer. Basically, that's it. Thank you very much.
Great job, Lynx. Guest speakers, you can come back on stage and we'll have another round of Q&A.
I'll jump in. So I think one of the things that I found a little bit difficult to understand was in the trailer, like really feeling what the combat feels like. And I think I was trying to think, why was I having that sort of disconnect? And I like it'd be, if I was watching you play, I might see a little bit more like what that feels like. But like it feels like the mechanic you kind of focused on was that combat mechanic. And I think one of the things I would like to see a little bit more is like the audio and the visual and the FX feedback from like what am I doing and how's the character reacting to that? Because it feels like that's like you could build the whole world, you could do a lot more, you could like, but that is, there's an opportunity to kind of focus in on that, making that feel really good. Because obviously, if that doesn't feel really good, then I mean that's seems like, from my understanding, that's the core gameplay. And it was just I think hard to come across in the trailer because like I couldn't see like the swipe versus the reaction versus like when was I pressing the button. So I think that would be the thing that I want to show off more sort of next.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
So on the game itself, it sounds very interesting as a concept. I saw the system, or at least I saw what you thought about how to make your systems, and I noticed something very dangerous in game development, which is I thought it was very simple, so I tried to add more things. That is never that is never how you make the game more fun. It is more about refining. You can have one very good mechanic is jumping and running, and you get Super Mario, which is a very successful game. So try to make your systems very good and don't worry about them being very complex. So let's say you have the skill system. The skill system can do a billion things. Now, if a billion things done in a mediocre way that doesn't really reflect anything, if you had that counter and attack with maybe a visual on the screen when it's counter time, a little sound effect, a little reaction from the player, a little reaction from the AI, and just that, and you can make literally a game about countering attacks, and that would feel way more interesting than 20 million systems that players don't really understand. I'm not saying that that's your game, or I'm not saying that you don't need to add more things. You are free to add as many things as you feel like the game needs, and complicated games are fun. I love making systems. It's part of my job every day. Now, just keep that in mind, that it's not the way to make a game better. The way to make a game better is to pick your system, make it the best possible, make sure it is meaningful in your game, which I really like the fact that you thought about, oh, well, maybe player can react, they will click something instead of just watching the thing happen and you get a miss or a hit. So focus on these things. And as John said, again, apparently I agree a lot with John today, so that's good. Deliver that in your trailer, because that's a feel that the player would like enjoy seeing, like the stress of, oh, I have to click right now, oh, I have to move right now, and that's something interesting to have overall. But great job. It's a lot of good work, of hard work I've seen in this trailer.
Thank you. Yeah, I get it.
Thanks. I have some feedback and a question for you in the chat. It says, I like that you decided to go with the pixel art style for your game. While watching the gameplay, some of the text on the HUD was kind of hard to read. Maybe you can change the color scheme or add an outline to the text. And the question is, do you plan on finishing the game and publishing it?
I don't know. I feel like honestly, it's not fun enough. The gameplay itself is not fun enough. I'm still looking for how to make it more playable for myself. I think if I think it's good to play, then I will plan on publishing it. But before that, I'm gonna keep refining it.
Yeah, I'd say one of the things that sort of reminds me of is sort of the divide between engineers and designers, and like I remember working on a game where like my designer spent days and days and days just like fine tuning that system. Like I built the system for him, but he spent the days getting that just right to get the fun, get the like, and that's where if you're finding that's not the fun part of like development, find someone who can help you with that, because there are people that love that, and then you can build the part that that you like, and of course it's fine if you decide that you don't want to continue on with this, that's. But there's a real opportunity for some back and forth between two developers in that space. That can, to me, is some of the most fun part of game development.
All right, time's up for Q&A links.
Yeah.
Great job today, and thank you for your feedback and questions. Next up, we have Jack with Space Crawler.
Hello, everybody. Thank you. This is Space Crawler. Next slide, please. Hi, I'm Jack Buck. I studied game development in college before taking on the challenge of running my own farm for several years out in California. Experience gave me a real appreciation for how interconnected systems work, something that's always been incredibly interesting to me. And that insight, I didn't think I would, but I really bring it into my game development, especially in what I'm interested in, gameplay programming and systems design. So now I'm looking to join a team as a gameplay programmer, ideally in a role where strong communication and collaboration are valued. It's one of my strong suits, and I really want to find myself in a place where I can do that. I'm also eager to grow my network and connect with others in the industry, which today is going to be fantastic for. With that background, I'd love to talk a little bit about my game, Space Crawler. Next slide, please. So I wanted to include many different systems to start bringing the vision of this game to life. It's a roguelite, dungeon crawler, space shooter type of game where you're just going around and trying to complete the dungeon. And I knew at the core, this game was about shooting. So I wanted to make sure that even though almost all you're doing is shooting, each shot had a lot of different potential outcomes. So I created a status effect system and a talent tree and different weapons and ammo, all to accentuate that. Next slide, please. So I was really inspired by the concept of modifying a character and having roughly the same experience, but your character and the way you experience it all changes. I wanted to experience that from Risk of Rain, a cool roguelite that I love to play where you just start over every single time. You see how far you can go, and you can go infinitely far. The other inspiration was Diablo, where you're going around these semi-randomized dungeons, getting randomized loot, and just improving your character. So that was a perfect fit for what I wanted to do. And I prepared a video demonstrating the game. So next slide, please. Welcome to Space Crawler, a roguelite space combat game where you'll battle through procedurally generated rooms, unlock powerful weapons, and customize your character through an extensive talent system. The talent tree lets you customize your playstyle, easily affecting and being triggered by any system in the game. While only a few talents are shown, the system is designed to easily accommodate new talents and effects. You can explore each new room to see which paths are open, each leading to different types of enemies or rewards. Every completed run adds an extra room before the boss, though on your first, you'll face the boss immediately. The enemies in Space Crawler are dynamic. Movement patterns and behaviors are determined by external factors, allowing them to adapt and respond to different situations. Defeating a boss rewards you with talent points and permanently unlocks any ammo types or weapons you found during the run. Combat in Space Crawler is enhanced by these ammo types. The burning ammo applies damage over time to both enemies and yourself, while the freezing ammo slows you and your target. As you complete more runs, the number of enemies in each room increases, making combat more intense. Damage over time effects can quickly eliminate enemies, but they'll do the same to you. And if the challenge proves too much, you'll lose all the rewards you picked up and revert back to what you had at the beginning of that sequence. Your progress is automatically saved in your browser when you defeat a boss, so you can continue your journey across multiple sessions. Whether it's your talent points, unlocked weapons, or run progress, everything is preserved for your next play session. Beautiful. Awesome. So this project was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. And it was also super rewarding. I learned so much. I came into this knowing what I thought was a decent amount, and I left it probably tripling what I knew. So before going into my takeaways and next steps, I want to talk about one particular hurdle making this game. It was the talent tree. If you could go to the next slide, please. So the talent system was a really big difficulty that had, I thought, a really cool solution. I needed to find a way to modify values from, as many different sources as possible without needing to worry about what the original was, or if I was going to modify it incorrectly and set it back wrong. So I solved this using C# delegates. And basically, I just create an assembly line of delegates on every single different interaction, which means I did have to put hooks into all different parts of the code, but it allowed me to easily, from status effects or talents or anything, modify virtually any system, change speed, attack, color, anything. So this approach turned a problem I was struggling to conceptualize, how the talents could uniquely affect every system, into something clear and actionable. It connected the dots for me, and really it just opened up the entire thing where I didn't know what I was going to do. And once I solved that, it was like the path was open. Next slide, please. So what did I learn? What were the results? For the game, the alpha was largely bug-free, which it wasn't that way for a good amount of the development process, but I got it all here for the minimal viable product. The core loop was successful, and really I'm ready for the next version, just adding as much to the existing features as I can. So one thing I did want to talk about, and it's funny you guys were talking about it in the last presentation, adding systems while maintaining fun is really hard. Finding one core system that's just really enjoyable and building around that, only adding things that accent and make that stronger, that in my mind is how you make a really strong game. Next slide, please. So Space Crawler is very close to feature complete, but it does need a few extra things. One major feature that I'm missing is bosses. I just used the elite enemy variant for bosses. So I did want to add something big, but 4 weeks, it's not a whole lot of time to make something. There's always the next iteration. So there were some earlier developed systems like movement I felt could get an overhaul now that I've really fleshed out the whole thing. So there's a lot to look forward to in the future for this game. My personal goals, I'm looking to pursue a career as a gameplay programmer. I'm going to go about this. Unity is my main language. I love it. I love C#. I do know Unreal 5 as well. I don't prefer it as much, but in a pinch, I can do that.
All right. I'm so sorry, Jack, but I have to cut you off so that we have time for Q&A.
Sure.
But I will move forward to your contact slide so that people can see how to get in touch with you. Guest speakers, you can come onto the stage. And great job, Jack.
Thank you.
So here's the thing. I am doing a roguelite for fun with a friend, just because I like them. So I feel like I would give you the most, I'm guessing the most, hey, I've seen this too kind of feedback.
Yeah.
I played Gungeon, I played Isaac. Both of these things can be a good reference for you if you want to find a fun template to look at. These are good games, objectively speaking, for whoever plays them. That sells also, but it's very far from what you're doing because it's a shooter here, and it's a lot of things. My way on going to what you did for the handlers, for the modifiers, I don't see the whole code. I just saw what you showed, right? So I would say that to look at a more modular approach, like maybe a handler on the player that everything tells it to upgrade instead of your code being all over everything, because you said it's in every other system, right? Which is slightly problematic when you want to maintain bug-free environments. So maybe have a registry of modifiers on your player, and everything that you take will just enter that registry, and then there's one point of entry. So one of the main things I preach about in game development: one source of truth. Things have to start and end in the same core point. Like otherwise, you're gonna be looking for a bug. Where I've seen bugs where the game you game over even though you did nothing wrong, because there's just something else that decided, oh well, there's other conditions that decide that this is a game over. So especially in games like whatever you combine can do other things, make sure that that source is always that same spot, so you can track it down, make sure you can debug it properly. Otherwise you are gonna go insane. But hey, very fun project. I hope you will learn and enjoy what you're doing, because it seems like a good thing. And that's it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think the scope here is great, right? The thing that I would be worried about, sort of along the same lines, is like the building of the content, like that's one of the great things about the roguelites is like there's so much of it, and if you're stuck doing that in sort of the code environment, you're not only is it harder, but it's harder to like hand off to somebody else. And I think that's when I start thinking about, like moving, and this is for all of the projects as well, moving from a game programmer who's working by themselves to one that's working with a team, building a set of tools that allow somebody else to, hand off some of that work. And then of course the other part of this is like finding ways to like get as much gameplay or your playtesting as possible, right? Yeah, I mean this is, you've got a core thing here, but now it's like how do you upscale it? How do you get to the next place? And that's through tools and through ways to allow whoever it is who is adding more content to iterate quickly on the content and find out if it's fun, and and so that's what I'd be looking for if I was talking to you as a interviewing you for a job. Like, this is a great start. Now, how do you do this to work with other people if that's what you want to do? If that's like how do you bring that to the next level? Because I think that one of the challenges here is you've got a vision of how do you do that content, and that's probably not the way other people are used to working. Other designers working. So kind of thinking about from their perspective, how do you make it easy for them?
That's a great thing to think about. Thank you. That's incredible.
Jack, I've got some feedback for you from the chat. It says, I like the concept and the minimalistic visuals. You can literally make anything fun if you make the right decisions. In order to make the right decisions is an iterative process over your design. Consider looking at Shadow of the Colossus design philosophy, minimalism and subtraction.
I love that game.
Awesome. Well, that works out then.
Okay, can I say something? Obviously, I love roguelikes and creating them, and it was very fun, and a great presentation, actually. But a couple points I have is that actually it's one thing that damage over time on player is not good, really, trust me, because you can't get rid of it and you can't do nothing about it. So it doesn't usually feel bad. It's just, what should I do? It's good for enemies, but for players, it's not always good. And that says, and the delegating, when using delegates, be careful, because they're debugging them and using them too much could create some headache for optimization phases. Not really that much to worry unless you get to that stage.
Yeah.
And good job.
Fantastic. Thank you all. I've learned a lot. Honestly, this was this was super helpful.
Awesome. Well, time is up for questions. So guest speakers, you can go off stage, and I'm going to call to the stage Pat with the mall.
Thank you.
Welcome, Pat.
Hey everyone. My name is Pat Manlow. Today I'm here to talk to you about my game called The Mall. A little bit about me. I've been married to my amazing wife for almost 18 years, and I'm the father of two beautiful girls. I've been passionate about video games ever since I was 5, since I got my first Atari. And today I'm looking for full-time employment opportunities. Next couple of slides, I guess, to change of career. Next one. There you go. I've recently decided to change careers after 20 years in the retail industry. I've decided to follow my passion of video games and start my game dev journey. This led me to the boot camp, where I've learned things like Unity fundamentals, C# programming, 2D and 3D game development, UI, audio, and scene management. And with my background in retail and my life experience, I bring a grounded and dependable approach to game development. Next slide. My game is a 2D top-down horror game made in Unity, where the player is trapped in a mall after hours and mannequins have come to life. And the point is to get out alive. The enemies move when you're not looking at them or they're lit. This makes for a tense survival built around light mechanics and line of sight. Next slide. I've also added a bit of story through found notes. It's about a night guard named Fred leaving messages for the brand new guy named Jimmy. These notes slowly get more unsettling as he starts hearing strange noises and goes to investigate. My inspiration for this game comes from classic horror games, scary movies, and TV. Next slide. Also, that eerie vibe you get when you're alone in a place that's usually full of life, but suddenly feels wrong and empty. Next slide. I came up with a basic concept in March. Then in the first week of April, I worked on basic scripts like health and movement. After that was the core mechanics like the light mechanics and line of sight. Going into the third week, I worked on fine-tuning some of the mechanics and adding story elements to make it more creepy. In the last weeks, I've been adding the menus, sounds, and putting some finishing touches on the demo. I hope you like the demo. Next slide. Yeah. So some of my challenges with this project were scripting the line of sight. Made me learn a lot about raycasts and how they interact with objects. Another challenge was the working out the shadows on the tile map. At the time, I didn't think about doing multiple tile maps and layering them and having one just do the shadows. One of the bigger challenges was game persistence between scenes, which I found really challenging as we only kind of touched on it briefly in class. So I had to do some research to figure out how to keep things per scene and then when to delete other things. For the future of the project, I would like to add searchable containers and like in desks and cabinets. I would also like to expand the story with some new areas and get a consistent art style, as I did all the pixel art myself and I'm not an artist. Next slide. I'm currently looking for full-time remote work that offers flexibility. I want to keep building games and leveling up my skills while also being there for my family. I'm hoping to find a team that really values creativity, collaboration, and a healthy work-life balance. While you're waiting to ask your questions, if you could take a minute to scan the QR code, that'll take you right to my LinkedIn where you can get in touch with me. Other than that, you can reach me at any of the information on the screen now. And I'd like to thank you for your time today.
Great job, Pat. Thank you so much. And guest speakers, I'll call you back to the stage again now for another round of Q&A.
So I'm gonna start just so we're on a roll. First of all, it looks great. It looks like you've put a lot of work into it, and that's good. I like the dark stuff and the light. The concept as a whole is interesting. The few comments that are gonna come up now are just to improve that thing. Where it's hard for me as a player to find where I am because everything is dark all the time and I don't have a map. A map, maybe everything's like I've seen items in the map that present light too, right? And what was oh well, that's cool that you've thought about it. Maybe make it so it's dimmer or something for the whole thing, or make sure that you have a map that wherever you walk, that like you can see it. Just so as a player, I can navigate the environment better. Otherwise, I have a bad memory. I will be confused on where I was before, especially with no markers at all on the map. Like, oh, I've been there. Did I not be there? Maybe add a way for the light to go off at some point, like your light from the player, because that would make it a bit more risk or rewarding to turn it off. Maybe it charges over time or something like that, like a bar. Those are just gameplay feedbacks. If you're having a problem with scene management and saving across the scene, I suggest considering loading multiple scenes, keeping your game in one, like your game logic and everything else, the objects in a scene, and then loading your maps as you go. I'm not sure what other things you're trying to maintain. You can always have services. It might be a bit complicated, but like a service locator pattern, you can look it up. You can reach out to me if you want. I can help you out with that. Or any other way, depending on what you're looking for exactly. But these are the two things that I would consider. Maybe leaving objects across. Don't abuse this, but you could use singletons and don't destroy and load. Just don't abuse the pattern. It can get very ugly very quickly. Those are my technical and gameplay feedback, I guess. A great job otherwise. And if you work on this, it could be something. I've never seen this before, so it could be something pretty interesting.
Yeah, so with keeping track of stuff, it's mostly like the player health and the battery charge level, that kind of stuff, between scenes. And I saved most of it into a game manager and did the singleton thing. So a lot of the persistence is saved in the game manager, which is kind of managing the game. So that's kind of the route I went. There's not super complex systems in it. Most of it's all set into hash set, I think it is. Basically like a list, that kind of an idea. It keeps track of all the things that have happened per scene, and then just recalls them when you load the next scene. As far as the lighting and stuff goes and where the player goes, it was kind of one of the last things I added was like an event system where it's again tracked in the game manager, but once you've triggered an event, say a door is open, now you go to the next scene, and when you come back to that scene, the door is still open. That's, again, it's just tracked basically kind of in a list kind of a idea. But yeah, the suggestion for having a map has been brought up, and it's something I would plan on kind of working on.
Next, we have a question from Javid.
Yep. So the idea is unique. I mean, I love the looks of it. I agree also with Johanna on the map thing, and I saw that in the comments, and I totally agree. The sound could be very important, so you could focus very much on the sound. And I don't know why. Maybe it's something personal. But when I see your idea and the game, I think you could hugely inspired from the Metroidvania games and like Resident Evil and stuff like that. Yeah. And that could be a huge help, I think. But it was fun. That's what came into my mind.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going for, that back and forth. I don't have quite enough areas right now to make it so much like the Metroid games. I'd like to add more areas where you have to go back and forth and different things happen. So like as you enter this hallway, the first time it's fine. When you come back, now there's blood and there's this and that in the area, or the lights are all out in this section, or boxes have been moved. And that's where I had to figure out how to save stuff per scene. So there is a little bit of that in the game. But yeah, I'd like to expand on that.
All right, Pat, I've got some feedback for you in the chat. This is a very concise scope as well. I'd say it's definitely doable if you maintain the scope as it is. Question, was Alan Wake one of your references?
Yes and no. It was more towards Dead Space. That kind of run around the place and try and fix things, get out, that, figure out the story. Dead Space was an inspiration. And then I just like the Weeping Angels from Doctor Who was kind of another inspiration. So I figured if I could kind of put the two together, they might go pretty well. So.
Nice. Well, unfortunately, that is all the time that we have for questions. And next, I'm going to call to the stage Tommy with his game Focus. Welcome, Tommy.
Can you hear me? All good? Hear me, see me? Perfect. Thank everybody for being here. This is awesome. This is sweet. I'm Thomas or Tommy, and I'm here to show Focus today. So, next slide, please. Just a little about me first. I love a job creating games. I love games since I was a kid, playing Madden with my brother in like 2005. When I was 5 years old, just like, just all the memories and all that stuff, just growing up with it. It's just furthered and furthered into a love for it in the industry. And a little bit about myself: love all things superheroes, Invincible, Spider-Man, Cyclops, Daredevil. You'll see in the next slide if you'd like to go to that one. Just quickly, please. Yeah, so I wanted to make a third-person combat experience. I felt like that was really cool. That was on my mind. I was at work just thinking about it, and that was something that I really wanted to tackle, even though the experience maybe wasn't there, but this is something that was on my heart, so I thought I'd go for it. Next slide, please. So right here, the hallway scene from Daredevil is what I was talking about. Just this kind of one shot where you're kind of just going through and just, endless waves, and the one goal is to get to the end. As for The Last of Us Part 2, the combat on like the one-on-one, how you're hitting people, kind of just the in-depth kind of zoom, and just all like the kind of how viscerally it feels like you're hitting them was something big as well for me in this inspiration. Next slide, please. So yeah, so for my must-haves with the game, I wanted fluid, fun gameplay. I think that's the biggest one. I wanted it to feel fun. I wanted you to feel powerful. I wanted you to feel strong. I wanted the combat to be brutal. You're hitting hard, you're landing punches, and the focus ability, which is just a quick little ability where you do more damage. It gets a little goofy with the ragdolls. These people are flying over the screen. You're just kind of letting loose. Next slide, please. Here's a quick video demo. So some of the challenges I had definitely was within the animations, the blend trees, the animation events, just enabling the colliders when when the animation kind of starts, when you're throwing that big overhand, just so you're not walking into people and just hitting them. The ragdolls were definitely something new for me. I definitely wanted you to, when you hit people and they kind of just drop, there's that satisfying feeling. I used inverse kinematics for making the actual punch hit the character in the head. That was big. I did some hit detection as well within the colliders. and I really wanted to challenge myself. This is kind of my first little drop into the gaming industry. I haven't had any experience before this program, and I wanted to really go for it with something I was passionate about. So next slide, please. What's next? I'd really like to bring up the gameplay. The enemy AI is at a point where it's good. They walk towards you, they beat you, and sometimes, you know, it catches me off guard and I just get beat to a pulp. But I would like for them to not exactly wait. I don't like in video games where someone kind of, you know, you get in this altercation with somebody and then the guy's just off to the right watching the friend get beat up. I'd like for them to be smart, go around the guy, you know, throw and have it, which would allow for the true third person. Right now it's kind of just a solid state camera. I would like for a full 3D like space to move around, and then the movement, better locomotion. I had to use my assets to kind of create the locomotion myself. I would really like a more fluid base, kind of like The Last of Us 2 as well, where it's super like fluid and it feels so nice. As for what's next for me, build my portfolio, continuing to just dive into anything. I would like to focus more on Unity, but Unreal Engine I'd love to dive into as well. I think that's super cool. VR would be something I'd really like to get into. And right now, just looking for work, any connections, mentorship, anything. Like I'm just full. I'm a sponge. I'd love to just soak up whatever I can and just be all for it and involved. That's what I'm about. Next, please. And thank you for your focus. I appreciate it. These are my links. Please get in touch with me on LinkedIn. I'd love to just talk and just get involved, get everything I can. That would be perfect. Thank you.
Great job, Tommy. Guest speakers, you can come back to the stage for some more Q&A.
I'll jump in. So I spent some time working on Final Fight Double Impact, and that's immediately what I was reminded of was those old school, side-scrolling games. I think what you've done does a great job of showing off like some real challenges. Like there's like clearly there was programming challenges. I think you talked through them really well, and you could there's a lot you can do as far as having a conversation with somebody about like why you're a potential great team member to a new team. And I think sort of similarly, I was thinking about like if you were to take this further, I'd really like to see sort of next steps in like making the level building easy, right? I could imagine you've got something pretty simple and straightforward here.
Yeah.
Now, how do you add a bunch of content quickly? Assuming you're going with the more, sort of not really side scroller, but that kind of
more linear,
more linear storytelling or even gameplay. But like there's potential to not do a lot more, but still have something as engaging as like a Final Fight with just adding more content.
For sure. Thank you.
So on the locomotion and animation, you've covered the basics of animation events are the way to go. Triggering the proper colliders at the right time is the way to go. That's it gets easier with time, so don't worry about it. You learn where to do what, because they're also doing some checks there. The AI smartness thing, I'm gonna go back to what I said first on the first project. Make sure that they have their behavior connected in a way, like their manager that informs the AI, oh, there's a guy there and there's a guy there, and so you should probably go to the back of that other guy. Now we're circling him, because I'm assuming your guys now just do what they think is best each individually, which is where the stacking of the AI would come from. They group up like, oh well, we go forward and we punch guy, so now we all go forward, we all punch guy. So that's there. I would emphasize working a little bit on the camera. Can be a challenge, but can be very interesting in terms of intensity, like camera movement, camera shake when you get punched, all these things that would give you a lot. And I think that with just these things and the focus being just fighting other people, that can just make your game significantly better with not a lot more to do there, right? Because like it's punching people. Using inverse arcade, very good. Very, very good. To feel that punch and the ragdoll. So good job there. That's my main feedback on that.
Perfect. Yeah. For the enemy AI, I have them walk around people who are knocked out. so they're not like clumping on them. So they're kind of smart in that way. And then as for what was I gonna say? I forgot it. I lost it. Sorry.
It's all good, man. Yeah, again, everyone, not just you, everyone, feel free to reach out whenever on LinkedIn or
For sure.
or whatever, and we can talk about all the things you can do or all the things you want to do. In a, well, it's all cool.
Perfect.
You could also consider sort of combo. I mean, canceling this animation in another move. Because it's all about punches. It's really it'd be fun to do that. It was great.
For sure. Yeah. I have 2 different combo sets right now, but I'd love for them to blend. So you could throw, that left and then that right, and then kind of blend them together. It would be really cool. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that.
I was just trying to remember what's the Canadian TV show, the hockey player where he's always punching people.
I'm trying to figure out. It's not. Ooh, is it Shorzy? It might be that.
Yeah. That. What? Not. I don't think Shorzy like Shorzy. The one that Shorzy
is in it.
The spinoff of. Yeah.
Letter Kenny or something
right?
like that.
Kenny. Yeah. What? Anyway. IP tie-in. Like
Yeah.
This is the game.
Sure.
This is the game that anybody who loves that show would want to go play.
Yeah. Sweet. Thank you.
All right, let's move on. Great job, Tommy. Thank you,
Perfect.
guest speakers. Next up, we have Jessica, who has a really unique idea. I'm excited for her to implement this in her work.
So good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jessica Svenningsson. I am going to be presenting the Yukon Riverside Arts Festival Gallery Hop game. And if you would actually just click this link that I just sent out just to get an impression of where I'm at. I'm currently in the Yukon Territory, and so if my internet is a little bit unstable, that's why. And I apologize for any echoing going on behind me because I've got some teenagers in the building. Can we please go to the next slide? So a little bit about me. I'm currently the Odd Gallery Manager at the Klondike Institute for Art and Culture in Dawson City. I have a bachelor's in anthropology with a focus on material culture, as well as a master's in museum studies. Can you go to the next slide, please? So, and a really important detail to keep in mind throughout my entire presentation is that I took this course initially to learn how to work with developers, because where I really thrive is in the arts and cultural scene. And so I came in to learn the technology of 3D and development in order to apply this to art and culture. My purpose for doing so is because I really want to enhance the storytelling component to arts and culture, because in the museum industry that can be very challenging, in order to create more immersive experiences with a greater focus on the users as well as just like the general audience, to keep all of that in mind, which can sometimes get lost within my industry, as well as ethical design, since I work with very delicate information, since I have Indigenous communities around me quite a bit working up in the Northern Canada, and community is at the center of everything I work on. And so in order to bring community into the technology world, and I know that is a very big part of a lot of technological development, I really just had to like keep all of this cohesive together. Next slide, please. So how did I decide to apply this? I decided to bring in the Yukon Riverside Art Festival Gallery Hop because I thought this was an excellent way to apply the technology I just learned to my workplace. And the Yukon Riverside Arts Fest, aka YRAF, is an annual festival that happens in Dawson City that is produced by Kayak, which is my current employer. And it highlights art and culture within the Yukon, with the Gallery Hop being a very key event that happens, which is about 12 exhibits spread across Dawson City of varying sizes. And we needed a way to enhance the experience. So on the next slide, please. We had some problems we had to address, such as wayfinding for visitors as well as locals, incentivizing visitors to go to exhibits that aren't just the ones that they know or the big like blockbuster ones. And we had no visibility on who was doing what within the Gallery Hops previously run, as well as an accessibility issue. If you follow that link, you'll see I truly am in the middle of nowhere, and Dawson itself is not a great place to get around if you are mobility impaired. So with this game, we've gamified gamified the experience to ensure that people have greater incentive to go to more places, and just it's easier to find where stuff is. We have data tracking on who is going to what spaces to get an idea of like what is most popular, maybe which sites we should go to. And now that it's digital, it's a global experience, so people from anywhere in the world can look at the way that we're going to be running this. Next slide, please. Inspirations. The whole idea came about during a meeting where we were talking about doing a stamp system, and I thought, let's go digital with it. The design itself is based off of illustrations that are very popular within Dawson, and we have a lot of nods to Yukon culture, specifically the Klondike Gold Rush that started in Dawson City. Next slide.
The YRAF website, you'll be taken to this screen where you'll have scrollable information so that you can actually learn like who's doing, like how this works. And then you can go into the game itself where you'll have this Raven curatorial guide that will give you clues about how the game works, as well as giving you a little bit of acknowledgement here and there. And then you also have the information page where you can take a look at the different shows that are available. And then this also works on the screen. So these are tappable and it can give you information about the show. Now, when you get to the locations and you want to say like, I've been here, you go to a QR code and you scan the QR code, which will give you a little icon to say, I went there. And then on the screen, I want you to notice that the icons are fading to indicate you've been to that particular location. The gold nugget at the top is sliding over to demonstrate progress. And then once you are done, you've been to all the locations, you'll be like, congrats, give us your information. Vote for the show. And then you'll be given this location right here. And just to demonstrate that you won't lose any of your progress, leave, restore. And then you're still here, but if you want to start the game over again, you can clear your cache, and then you're up at the beginning.
Next slide, please. Thank you. So the focus of my work within building this is to really think about the user experience. As I said earlier, Dawson is rather tech averse. They have technical skills, but people in the Yukon in general don't necessarily like to engage with technology. And so I really had to think about the ways to make this the easiest to get into, so we don't have any player profiles we have to create. You just simply like tap a link and you can log in. And if there are any mistakes, then we have all the information saved. The artistic direction was led entirely by me because I know the people, and so I wanted to make something that was appealing to them. And my bread and butter within my industry is project management, and so I definitely want to bring that forward. The challenges, of course, being I'm a very small team. We had to make sure scope creep stayed within the capacities, within the timelines that we have, and the festival logistics are going to be interesting because we actually don't have all the information for each exhibit until the end of the month. And so we have about a 2-week turnaround to update the game from when we finally launch it next month. Next slide, please. Project goals. So we will do final play testing in the next couple of weeks to ensure it actually works within, outside of this Wi-Fi space that I have access to, so that we can actually use it on June 12th. Future use is, I'm currently in conversations right now with my employers to find out how we can expand this into the future, for future games, since this is an investment they're making. And there's actually some interest from the Yukon government right now to pay us to expand this into like a Dawson City-wide map for all of the art that we have going on here, because it's a very artistic space. My professional goals right now are to seek mentorship from anybody who has worked in the art and cultural space with using technology, because I want to do more of this, as well as working with other developers who would like to necessarily potentially work with me to develop more products, because the Yukon government is interested in throwing some money at me right now. Next slide, please. If you'd like to get in touch, that's my information, and I am happy to answer any questions going forward.
Great job, Jax. I'm going to call to the stage all guest speakers for another round of Q&A.
For this project, the conversation is very different. It's not about the game mechanics for that. So it's a bit far away from what I usually do, because gameplay. But it is from what. So the only game that I think of that can resolve this gap between a game and an app, because this to me feels like not where you track things, but gamified, is Pokemon Go, right? Which is the star of the show whenever you have a map and a game, and where you collect some characters that maybe or like some items. So if you would add some of that, you get an item, you get a thing. You have to do a small mini game that gets you interacting with the environment in a way that delivers the cultural aspect of that. Say you have a urine, you have to clean dust off, whatever mini games that would make it more closer to a game that would engage the player a bit more. However, the general idea of go look at that and learn what this is and keep track of your progress so you can understand better is pretty much covered there. I would just polish the UX more because this is the core. It's not a core game mechanic, but it's the core of the app. And I would try to add some map. I don't think I've seen. Is there map tracking? Maybe I just didn't notice it. Like real-time map tracking.
That is something that it was on the feature. Well, there is like real time. So when the icons in the stand sheet at the bottom, the icons on the screen will fade out slightly to just say like you've been here. I was hoping to add some location, like how you're navigating around, but due to time constraints, that is something that unfortunately didn't get added. So we might be able to add it in the next couple of weeks. If not, then next year.
That makes sense. Well, that's the only thing I would like immediately think of. Oh, well, I'd like to actually see myself walking there instead of just knowing that I said. So that it's on your list. It's great. So this is again, since this is not exactly a game, it's more of a gamified experience. My feedback goes towards the experience itself. Consider whatever Pokemon Go decided to do as a gamified experience. consider the map, and that's pretty much it.
So
yeah,
I'll jump in.
This is, I apologize also for my internet, which I can be a bit spotty, but this is something like, as I said before, is like, I'm not really here to build games. I'm here to apply game technology to experiences within art and culture.
So I'll jump in. This touches me in lots of ways. I've been very close to where you are. I've been in Eagle for a few weeks, helping out with the Yukon Quest. You're near my homeland. So the immediate thing I think of like part of like people come to these things because they're coming from other places, and they like there's an opportunity here to engage with social media. Like I could see, taking photos, sharing them. But my experience is also in the XR space, and like I could see, not just the Pokemon Go overlay, but like really opportunities with some of the current tech to do virtual representations, like hold my camera up and see this building with the thing that used to be there, or the people that were there, or like somehow like bringing in the history aspect to it to feel a sense of where you're at. And there are a set of tools. I know, speaking of Pokemon Go, I know I've got a friend of mine who works. They've got a new set of tech at what's the company? Whatever the company is that before they bought
Niantic.
Niantic. So before Scopely bought them, Niantic has a spin-off of a new game engine that's all like XR based. And I can share that. And they're always looking for opportunities to like get people to try out their engine and do cool things with it. And so there might be something really cool there. It's like a Unity but like XR first. But yeah,
So
go ahead.
I was actually going to work with that technology for this game, but due to the product that was like, where the project coming up, I thought it was better to go from a UI perspective because of like, you might have noticed I don't have the best internet up here, and I'm currently in a Wi-Fi space on fiber. So we had to go with something that was more lightweight that would actually be usable in this space. But people have been talking to me about doing augmented reality because I already do augmented reality artwork, and I actually have like pictures of a show behind me that's currently up in Ontario right now. But like, again, time, scope, capacity, finances, like I had to work within like the walls that I had.
Yeah,
also,
awesome.
John,
If you want connections there, let me know at Niantic.
Please. Where are you based in Alaska, John?
So I am originally from Fairbanks. Right now I'm in Pittsburgh, but yeah, I've been all over that space.
Great. I'd love to talk to you about it later.
Any other questions? Oh, actually, time's up. So next, I'm going to call to the stage our final speaker. So Jay, come to the stage. And great job, Jessica.
Oh boy. Nerves are starting to get to me now. Oh well. This is what
You're
it is.
going to do great.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Jay Yarohali. This is my game Dodge a Turn. Next slide, please. I'm ever seeking improvement, and I'm going to be spending all my time learning more about whatever I can do in this industry and what I can do with making games. I've always been passionate for gaming, and some of my favorites include the likes of Doom Eternal and Super Mario Galaxy. I also have a very overactive imagination, which has also come to bite me in the ass many times, especially in this project. Next slide, please. So Dodge a Turn is a semi-open world single-player turn-based RPG. Combat has the player have some more agency in their movements, so they're not being targeted by the wrath of God and your character's just dancing like a normal idiot. Most of the system right now just is limited to jumping, so you jump to attack, jump to avoid, or you don't jump to avoid, whatever. That's basically the idea. Next slide. The inspirations of it definitely root from the Mario and Luigi RPG series, where I've loved how the player has more agency in the turn-based combat. I do want to preface this by saying I don't actually like playing turn-based combat games, which is why I wanted to make more of a turn-based game where I can enjoy playing it. So, yeah. Next slide. Yeah. The game visuals are primarily done in Unity's in-engine editor, so all the capsules and whatnot you'll be seeing are from Unity itself, and with a few textures and things from the asset store. Next slide, please. So the timeline that I've started at the start of the year, started thinking up what I wanted to do for the capstone project, and back in March, I drafted everything out, laid out all my plan for what I need to do to the best of my ability at the time. In April, I've worked relentlessly on this project. And then this recent month, I've had a lot of personal stuff happen, so I couldn't really improve my game as much as I would have wanted to, but I've always come back to it when I could. And right now, there have been hiccups. There have definitely been hiccups, but yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, like I said, primarily the visuals, because I'm still trying to fix what I broke. And unfortunately, I probably would have fixed it if I had put it into a GitHub repository to start. Lesson learned. But yeah, some of the takeaways is I can't really code, despite my understanding of everything that I've taken from this school. It's going to be a long time before I can actually apply these things to any project that I try and make. And of course, I'll have to. Excuse me. I'll just have to keep practicing and ask for help when I feel that I need it.
Here, I'm gonna cut you off and just be the defense of Jay. Coding is hard, and making things you like is very hard because you want them to work well. Mm-hmm. Use GitHub. That's a good point. Use GitHub. Make sure you have a history on your code, so if it ever breaks, you can fix it. And I mean, I see that you feel bad. You shouldn't, because this is something that you started. You'll probably finish it. You had some problems there, and it happens to all of us. Here's a background information. I had a house I had to renovate while working full time. Couldn't do anything about that. That's life. So keep that in mind, that it's okay to fail, and it's okay to have to find things hard, because what the time you spent in school is just a significantly small amount compared to how long you'll spend programming and learning. So keep that in mind. Don't worry about it. Chill out. Ask for help. It's okay. Look things up. It's okay. Try to understand the things that you're doing so you can fix them. That's also okay. The game sounds like what Claire Obscure wanted to do. It's like, hey, well, I don't think it's a good idea to just stand there and be punched in the face, because it's not,
I agree.
It's not realistic, right? I feel like a lot of inspiration could be taken from their turn-based reaction time events. Small things like clicking to avoid clicking to do more damage is just all you need to feel like you're more involved than watching, God smite as you placed it.
Yeah,
kick your ass or just miss.
I've been meaning to check out the game because of that, and before I even went about planning, I didn't even hear about that game's existence. So I'm very glad that it exists and it's being very well received.
Yeah, it is great. You can look it up, you can try it, you can watch videos about it, you can involve your game mechanics into that. And one thing on your presentation, it's 100% your game. I don't think you can mess it up no matter what you do, because we don't know what happened, right? So you can't chill out on that.
I would have
There's
talked
nothing.
about it if I had the rest of the time.
No, I know. But what I'm saying is there's nothing to stress about. Everyone is probably here, but probably certainly here to help you out, not to be oh well, this is what you did. I don't know what you did on the systems, so I can't really comment there, which is my main my main specialty. But if you do want to discuss more and you feel like there's improvements you want to talk about or challenges, feel free to reach out on LinkedIn, and I will gladly take time to sit with you and go over them, watch the thing properly, and give you proper feedback. So there's that, and that's it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll second that. With not just it's okay to fail. Like I expect failure. I like you don't learn unless you're failing. That's the way if you're not failing, you're probably not pushing yourself hard enough. And it's just that's the way you learn. Keep it up. There are lots and lots of resources out there. And getting a foundation is what you've got. And just keep moving forward. And I'd say, keep the focus small, right? Don't
That's
try
the
to
plan.
do too much. That's where it's easy to get overwhelmed. If there's one thing that's interesting, iterate on that one thing and become, go deep on that. Right. It'll pay off more than you know.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that's time for you, Jay. Great job on your presentation. Thank you so much, guest speakers. And congratulations to all students who have now completed their boot camps. Students, you can now come back on stage. And guest speakers, you can stay on stage as well.
All right. Thank you so much, Karin. And all of our presenters today, I want you to give yourselves a huge round of applause, a huge pat on the back. You all did an amazing job. I know it's stressful putting yourself out there and your projects that you've been working on, but you all did great. So congratulations, you did it. We're really, really proud of you, and all of your hard work is super obvious. So great job, you guys. We'll wrap up really quickly. I know we're a couple minutes over. I just want to thank you to our guests who are here today. I know Anthony had to jump off, and Raphael in the comments, who's been so incredible feedback as well, in addition to our guests on stage. Thank you all for volunteering your time to be here today. We really, really appreciate it. We can't run these events without you guys, and your insights have been really incredible, compassionate, and helpful. So for those of you who are not yet partners, we have some opportunities to partner with us. My email address is back up on the screen. Send any questions you'd like my way. The very last thing I will say to everyone on the call is use this opportunity now. If anyone wants to plug a game you're working on, your profiles, anything like that, to our guest speakers or vice versa, please go ahead and send them now. Otherwise, we can go ahead and wrap it up there. Thank you again, everyone, for your time and your insights. Congratulations to our students. If you missed the chance to grab someone's email or LinkedIn, you all have my email, so you can ask me for those connections. So great job, thank you, and enjoy your afternoon, everyone.
Congratulations, everyone. Thank you, guest speakers.